All right, Mina, we're looking at this trade, obviously big for the Broncos, but what do you see being the most significant impact he makes joining Denver?
Yeah, I love this fit, particularly with the players already on the roster. And I think it's really valuable because he adds an element to this Broncos offense that really hasn't existed. One thing that I think is really important, maybe one of my favorite attributes of his, yards after the catch. So the Broncos had a decent amount of yards after the catch last season, but if you take out short throws and screens, they were actually 25th league-wide. That, to me, is something Waddle brings to the equation just because he has so much juice with the ball in his hands, his burst, his vision as a runner, both spectacular. And then I think the other thing that's going to be important is that intermediate passing game. Denver Broncos offense above average on short throws, above average need per play on deep throws, below average on intermediate throws. And that's another area where I think Waddle shines. That 10 to 20 yard range to me is something he really brings to this offense that's been missing. So I just think it's a perfect fit for this offense, what they needed. And it's not surprising to me that they've now tried to go after him for a while and finally got him.
Yeah, Mina, it's not just the distance of the throws, but the kind of throws that are being made. I look at those in-breakers, those crossers, those digs. That's what Sean Payton wants his quarterback to throw off of play action. And that's been missing for Bo Nix. I know Courtland Sutton is a big body. He does make some of those catches, but he's a little more inconsistent than you might expect for someone with that size. Bo Nix has been below average as a play-action passer per QBR each of his first 2 seasons in the NFL. That should not be the case. He can throw that pass really well, and that offense creates a ton of space for their receivers. But I do want to see Bo Nix and that offense with Jaylen Waddle take those shots. I want to see him get downfield. Bo Nix has been a below-average passer throwing downfield at times as well. So I just think there's an opportunity to fill in kind of the gaps in that offense, and you're kind of pushing everyone down, like a rotation where you add that ace, so that number 2. Now the 2 is a 3, the 3 is a 4. The offense is just a lot more convenient with Jaylen Waddle being in the mix there. Doesn't always have the most consistent set of receivers in football.
Dan, how many people are we going to demote today?
I know, it's rough. I mean, like Courtland Sutton's just sitting there like, what did I do?
This is a good demotion.
Everybody's getting demoted. Now, I want to talk, the points that Mina and Bill made were absolutely correct. What Jaylen Waddle brings this offense from a route perspective, from unlocking the deep ball. I mean, at worst, he's the 3rd best vertical route runner in the entire league. So we know what that brings there to that offense in Bo Nix this year. But I want to talk about what it means for the Broncos as a franchise. I think Sean Payton looked around the AFC, and he looked at the teams that we think are juggernauts: Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City, the teams we associate with the AFC Championship game every single year. I don't know if they're getting back. I think they either, whether it's new coaches, whether it's roster holes, whether it's injuries, I think Sean Payton's looking around and saying our window is right now. I think that in this league right now, this is a microwave league, and it is really easy to build a AFC Championship level contender over a 2-year period. And these windows close faster than anybody thought. Look at Detroit. Nobody's picking them to win the Super Bowl this year. They didn't get there. So I think this is a Denver team that's looking at their window right now saying, we're not going to wait. We're not going to do a 3-year build. We're going to go all in right now and win the AFC.
Well, and that's what I had been saying, right? That when you're looking around the league and looking around the competition, you're like, why am I not in a position to win right now? Make the moves right now. And it's just, to me, it's so funny because I've been talking about some of the offs. I mean, obviously we're talking about lots of off-season moves, but it just parallels so well to me between the Broncos and the Ravens, actually, because I had said, like, what other move are the Ravens going to make if you're not going to get Max Crosby? You have the trade, the draft capital, now go make that move. You're looking at the Bills. Are you afraid of the Bills? Probably not. Are you afraid of the Chiefs? Probably not. You're looking all around the league, and if you're looking at the Broncos, you're like, we got Lamar Jackson, we're better than Bo Nix, blah 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 blah. So, it's like, you feel that way. You're looking around the league, make a move. And they haven't, at least not yet. The Broncos did. The Broncos did. A move like this to me is reminiscent of the Philadelphia Eagles getting A.J. Brown. Now, I know that right now isn't the hottest connection in the NFL. It certainly worked really well, right? You can't argue the success. Literally multiple Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl win. You can't argue with that success. You cannot argue with that success. And what I love, Jaylen Waddle gave like kind of like I don't know, where he was some sort of interview where he was talking, I think it was with like a Broncos specifically reporter, and he just gave such a great answer because he was just like, how excited are you to play with Denver blah blah blah, and he just kind of talked positively about everyone else and was just like, I'm excited to compete with everyone and all. This, like, he gave such an awesome grounded answer. Rather than a more of like a look at me, like can't wait to show everyone what I can do. Like he gave an answer of just like, this Broncos team is awesome and I'm really just grateful to be able to just get out there with those guys and play, right? Like it's not he wasn't sending the message of like I have arrived, right? Like I really like Mike Evans, but he even gave an answer of like I'm the missing piece, He was like, they're a piece away and I'm that piece. And like there's nothing inherently wrong with that answer either. And I really like Mike Evans. I think he's a great leader and all that, but I don't know. It just really resonated with me, Jaylen Waddle, and his answer and how he can fit within the culture. I really am. I'm kind of like Khan in that regard. Like I'm a culture guy. I'm a culture guy. Culture guy. Culture guy. 'Cause it really does. I've been on enough teams where the culture is amazing and the connection is amazing and you genuinely, snorts, feel like it is a brotherhood, that you have a legitimate true family. No matter what you're doing, when you're on the plane, when you're on buses, when you're doing nothing, it's the middle of the night, when it's freezing cold, hot out, rain, whatever, you're a lot happier. I've been on plenty of other teams, too, when you're just like, I hate everyone here. Like it's awful. I don't want anything to do with any of these guys right now. I want none of it. None of it. And when you just feel connected as a team, man, it's just the sky can be the limit. The sky can be the limit. And so even adding a Jaylen Waddle from that standpoint, I think is kind of a little bit underrated. We could talk about the in-breaking routes and this that and also like because when you talk about yak, like I'm not going to just put that on the shoulders of Jaylen Waddle, like that is like Mike McDaniel was brilliant at that, and so that is up to Sean Payton and Ponix Nix for that matter, but Sean Payton or Webb to ensure that they get that. Like it's not just an individual, obviously when you have lightning quick speed and all of that, for sure you're going to get that advantage, right? Tyreek Hill obviously in his prime like had that advantage. But it is also coaching. I will scream that as regularly and as loud as I possibly can. I look at yak so much through the lens of coaching, more often than not. Again, no doubt about it. A player can obviously absolutely break through and when they're really fast, like no doubt about it. And a quarterback having to deliver the ball accurately, etc., in stride, in rhythm, like without a doubt. But I still think the foundation of being able to get that yak is the coach, right? It is the orchestration of the offense. It's the choreography of it all. And the Broncos offense was very much not set up to enhance that. It really wasn't. It actually kind of made me kind of think about actually the Eagles, ironically, because it was a lot of catch and tackle, catch and tackle, catch and tackle, catch and tackle, and there wasn't really a lot of room for some of that. And maybe that's a personnel situation and it's just kind of like a Sean Payton kind of conceding in that moment. Because I was also laughing. He was like, oh, Bix was below average at this part, below average at that part. And I'm like, buddy, guys, this is why you can't just use just QBR or something as a reference point. I'm not going to go on a whole long rant right now. I'm not, because it's irrelevant in this moment of time, but I'll just point this out. The Denver Broncos literally could not stop dropping the ball. Bo Nix was second in the NFL with drop passes of 37. I mean, there were people crying about, and again, this is where you also got to look at the percentage, too, because you like, oh, Matthew Stafford had 28 drops. But it was 6.7%. Bo Nix was 8.7% drop percentage. So, again, a greater percentage of his balls were dropped, because if I throw the ball 10,000 times, yeah, I'm going to have like 100, a lot more than 100 drops, but a ton of drops. So, you got to look at drops as well as drop percentage. But I mean, yeah, they literally could not drop the ball. So, if you just be like, oh, his QBR was low and this and that and therefore he was not below average. It's like, guys, what are we talking about here? They talk about how he was below average on play action. 12 drops. 12 drops. Nearly 10% of his passes on play action were dropped. Okay, he had a 65% completion percentage, I think it was. His adjusted when factoring in drops skyrockets to 80%. Okay, 80%. Like these things matter. Yeah, he was 65.7% completion percentage. I mean, 12 drops, nearly 10% of his passes, that matters. So, yeah. I mean, this offense, I'll just say the choreography of it all was definitely disconnected a lot. You know, there was definitely a disconnection. There were plenty of times where it just felt like everybody was not on the same page. And I think earlier on the season that was for a few reasons. Some of it is absolutely Bo Nix. He was too sped up and whatnot. Another part of it was I don't know. It's the play calling wasn't 100%, which obviously the Broncos feel that way too. It's why they're literally changing the man who's going to be calling the plays. So, like, you know, I think there was a few reasons for it and I think you're going to, at least I believe you're going to correct some of those issues from this past year into this year, regardless of having Jaylen Waddle there, and now you're adding in Jaylen Waddle, right? That's a double bounce on a trampoline. It's got the ability to have such a greater impact. It's why I said before this is multiplication, not addition. And honestly, this is a perfect example as why. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jaylen Waddle, this offense, how he's going to unlock it? What this offense can do to really take some important steps forward? To legitimately be like, you know, we were the 1 seed for a reason and we're now going to legitimately reinforce why we are actually the team to be in the AFC. Not the Bills, not the Ravens, not the Patriots, not the Chiefs. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get to some discussions. Let's get to some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.